Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Intentional Conversations VodCast. We're so glad you're here. We're just giving it a few moments for our audience to get settled into this virtual learning space. We have been expecting you, and we are thrilled that you have decided to spend this hour with us. We don't take that for granted at all. And so as folks are getting settled in and we're building up critical mass, I would love it if you would go to the chat and let us know where you are joining the conversation from today. We are always excited to see all the geographies that are represented. We have folks not only throughout the United States, but even we have some folks who are outside of the United States that visit us from time to time. And that is always a treat for us. And as you're getting settled in, just want you to know that cameras today, if you're part of the Zoom community, they are encouraged, but certainly never required. We know that many of you may join in the capacity of just listening in, maybe while you're multitasking. We are glad you're here in whatever capacity. I also want you to know that the chat today is going to be a way for us to extend that sense of community and get proximate to each other. So if there's something that is said, I want you to use the chat to share your expressions, maybe affirmations. If something is resonating with you, I want you to chat about it. And let's get some community going in that area. And if you're joining us by LinkedIn Live, I do want you to know that you can also go to the comment section. We are watching that and bringing some of that commentary over into our Zoom community. We believe at NWC that the experience of Intentional Conversations VodCast is a little bit enriched when you are part of the Zoom community. So if you would like to hop on over and join us here, we're going to add into the comment section for all of those that are part of LinkedIn Live, the link for you to do so. But if you choose to stay put where you are, that is absolutely fine as well. At NWC, we really do value disability inclusion. And so one of the ways in which we show up in that regard is to make sure that our podcast has the closed caption option enabled. And so I want you to be aware of that in case that's a benefit to you. And if you also desire to connect with this community beyond this window of time, then I will encourage you to go to the chat and share your LinkedIn information. And that lets us know that you are willing to connect with members of this community. And I am certainly willing to connect with each of you. So if we aren't already connected on LinkedIn, my team will drop my LinkedIn information into the chat. And I really hope that we can be connected there as well. Okay, once again, if you're just joining us, this is Intentional Conversations VodCast. I am Dr. Nika White, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the founder and lead principal consultant of NWC, and we, again, want to welcome you to the show. Enjoy. Right. So as the screen says, let the conversations begin. And that is precisely what we're going to do at this moment in time. If you're just now joining us, this is Intentional Conversations VodCast. We also do extract the audio and make the content available in podcast capacity. And so it's not only a podcast, but it's also a podcast. I have been sharing that February 1 is when we celebrated 7 years of being in business. And that is no small feat. For those of you who've been following these statistics, you know that many businesses do not survive past 3 years, and especially if you are a minority-owned business. So I am really proud that NWC has been in existence now for 7 successful years, and we look forward to continued support from our community that shows up for us week after week. This is also Black History Month. And so while this is the month that we take the time to be very intentional about recognizing all the things that helps us to just amplify the importance and the value of the Black community, we want to make sure that we're continuing to do that all throughout the year, not just this month, but all throughout the year. And I know you really can't see this, but I am wearing my Black History Month t-shirt today. I'm going to try to adjust my camera so that you can see. Yes, 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 yes. I love the message. I love what it stands for. And I am just, showing up in Black History gear today to celebrate all that we are and all that we value and all that we bring to this, society. This is also our 1-year anniversary for Inclusion Uncomplicated. That is book number 3 that was released in January, the end of January of last year. So my book baby is now 1 year old, and it was in partnership with Forbes Books. That was my publisher. It's all about a transformative guide to help people simplify DEI, demystify the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I hope that you already have your copy, but if not, I would love to encourage you to go get your copy. You can get it in Kindle, you can get it in audiobook, it's in hard copy, and we're in conversations right now about releasing a paperback soon. And so stay tuned for more on that. I also want to let you know that NWC we've done a good thing, as Tabitha Brown would say, we did a thing. And what we did was we took a lot of research that relates to some of the trends that we're seeing on the horizon for 2024. And we've put that into a thought paper. And it is available now on our website at nikawhite.com. And I hope that you will check this out. Not only does it help you to understand what are those trends, but also how do you maybe need to think about how those trends need to find its way into the consideration set of all the efforts you are doing from a DEI perspective within your organizations. So check it out. Now, I am really, really close to reaching 25,000 followers on LinkedIn. And I know that this podcast community supports me because you show up week after week. And so if you feel inclined to help me reach those numbers, make sure you go and follow me, tell others about the content that we share. And we really do appreciate all that you do to make this content available to the broader community so that we all can deepen our knowledge and understanding of all things DEIB. Speaking of LinkedIn, you know that I am a LinkedIn learning instructor, and I already have one course that's out there right now, two new courses that are going to be releasing later this month or in early March. And so I'm super excited. The course that's out there right now is all about individual accountability for equity and inclusion. It has reached over 17,000 learners. And the two new courses are going to be on AI and DEI and the intersection of the two. So that's a big topic right now. You want to make sure you're tuned into that. And then also organizational accountability to equity and inclusion. So I'm super excited about those upcoming learning opportunities, and I hope you will take advantage of them. Now, as I normally do as the host of Intentional Conversations, I want to give you a little bit of what you have to look forward to in the future weeks coming up by way of sharing with you our guest co-host. And so I'm super excited because on February the 16th, next Friday, Amira Barger is going to be joining us. And in that Intentional Conversations podcast, we're going to be talking about how Black people can perpetuate white supremacy in corporate or predominantly white institutional spaces. This is not something that we talk about often enough, but we certainly need to bring this conversation to the table and understand what we can do to try to combat that. Amira has an extremely extensive background in communications, and she's written a lot of articles on so many topics related to DEI. So I look forward to having her join us on next Friday, and I hope that you will be here as well. And then the following Friday of February, we have Dr. Julia Weiner. And in that Intentional Conversations podcast, we're going to be talking about navigating workplace presence and how Black individuals can lean in and really identify their source of strength and the responsibility to uplift each other. So if you don't know Dr. Julia Weiner, go ahead and look her up, but plan to be here on the 23rd. It's going to be a very enlightening conversation, and I am thrilled to have her join us. Now, vodcast community, you know what happens right before we bring on our guest co-host for the week. I always take a moment to pause and to read the official bio of our guest co-host. And I do this because I want you all to understand the accolades, the credentials in which our guest co-host shows up to today's experience. And so I'm going to do that at this time. Tammy Darmel Moore is an award-winning visionary, social entrepreneur, social innovation changemaker, and impact investor with more than 2 decades of experience in corporate America. She has a proven track record of helping enterprises flourish exponentially through her keen business acumen and strategic insights. Tammy is an aspiring leader with a passion for service and community, having volunteered with various organizations and served on executive boards with impactful missions. Her life-changing trip to Ethiopia in 2019 inspired her to establish Footprints in Africa, a 501c3 organization committed to improving the lives of those in poverty-stricken communities throughout Africa. Despite the challenges of building a nonprofit from the ground up during a pandemic, Tammy's unwavering vision, compassion, and love for African continent have led Footprints in Africa to remarkable achievements. Tammy has an impressive professional profile that demonstrates her exceptional knowledge and expertise. She is the CEO and president of Chiel Enterprises LLC, parent company of two entities, Therapeutic Touch and More and Associates, and a subsidiary, Footprints in Africa. Tammy's international authority has earned her the position of a vested executive advisory board member at Entrepreneurship Village, the world's first entrepreneurship village in Nigeria. The impressive compound is also known as the Silicon Valley of Africa. Her appointment to this prestigious founding position is a testament to her expertise and leadership skills in business development. Tammy is highly educated, holding a Bachelor of Liberal Arts and Business Administration with extensive accounting studies from Furman University. She also completed a rigorous project management professional program at the University of South Carolina. Additionally, Tammy has two executive business certifications in innovation, finance, and social innovation from the University of Cape Town, a research university in South Africa, thus earning honors recognition in both programs. She also holds 4 executive certifications in intellectual property law from Pennsylvania University and an elite business certification in women's entrepreneurship from Cornell University. Tammy is also part of an exclusive group of graduates with market recognition as a NASDAQ milestone alum. Tammy's impact is undeniable, both in the business world and the community, from numerous awards and recognitions she has received, including being featured in a National Women's History Month spotlight, Black History Month spotlight, and even having her name displayed on the NASDAQ marquee in New York Times Square. Tammy is a force to reckon with, and her influence continues to grow. She is a native of Greenville, South Carolina, where I am based, where she resides presently, and her exceptional leadership skills, dedication to service, and impressive achievements make her a true inspiration and force for positive change. So you know what to do at this point in time. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to invite Tammy to be added to the spotlight. I'm going to do that right now. And we're so excited to have you here today, Tammy. Let me get you added to the spotlight. There we go. And one of the things that we do here at Intentional Conversations VodCast is that we will allow you to greet the audience in your own way. But as our community is finding those accolades, those emojis to welcome you and to show gratitude for you being with us today, I want you to share with us one thing that we may not know about you or would or could not know about you from reading your bio, we just heard, or from looking at your LinkedIn profile. So this is where we want you to share with us something maybe that is a bit of a fun fact or interesting tidbit, maybe some intersecting identities, but this just helps us to kind of deepen our connection with you as our guest co-host today. And welcome, my friend. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, dear. I appreciate the invite. And good morning, beautiful people, to each and every one of you that have taken the time to be with us this morning. I truly appreciate it. I'm listening to you read my bio, and I'm like, I've been working.
You've
get
been
loud.
working. Yes, you've been working.
So something that you all may not know about me from social media, or that's my bio, I am a licensed cosmetologist and a certified masseuse. Yeah.
Love that. You're so well-rounded. I mean, you're right. As I was reading your bio, I was like, oh my goodness. And Tammy, you and I have known each other for years. I mean, like
Yeah.
years. And so I was telling Tammy as we were prepping for the top of the hour that as I was reviewing her bio once again, I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm just like so impressed. I mean, you're like, you have so many
Thank
things that
you.
you've checked off and that you've done. And I never want to take that for granted, especially during this Black History Month when we need to be leaning into uplifting our brothers and our sisters. And so I'm definitely I'm sending you lots of flowers. And
Thank
so,
you.
yes, absolutely. Okay, so I want to jump right in and I want you to tell us all about Footprint in Africa. What
Yeah.
was the impetus of starting it? What is it all about? Give us some insight there.
Thank you. First of all, Footprints in Africa is my baby. Absolutely my baby. It's my third child. Footprints in Africa is a 501c3 international organization that is committed to aiding the people of Africa, more specifically those that live in poverty-stricken communities with the necessities they need to maintain a standard quality of life. I think people miss that part. We're talking about standard, the basics, things that most
Yeah.
of us take for granted. It was founded in 2019. the steps, I would say. My trip in Ethiopia in 2019 was a personal trip. As a parent that has raised two young adults, my goal was to travel the world and do more than buy shoes and clothes, because we have plenty of that stuff. And so I said, I'm going to travel the world. In less than 2 years, I went to 4 continents and 34, 36 countries within 2 years.
Wow.
And one of those countries was Ethiopia in 2019. And that trip in and of itself was totally different than anywhere else I'd been. I've been to a lot of places. Um,
Yes.
it was kindred spirits. I felt like I was at home. That was the first place I took my shoes off to make sure the soles of my feet literally touched the ground because it was that important to me. I just fell in love with the people, the continent itself, the food, the culture, but I saw a great need for the people there. And we hear the stories. We've seen the National
Yeah.
Geographic shows and the big bellies and the flies and such, but that's not Africa in totality. It's so much bigger than that. It has a lot to offer. It's rich in culture, it's rich in tradition and history. But I saw a need there while I was in the bush for 3 days. And I said, I can't fix everything, but I can fix this. I can make sure
Yes.
these babies have shoes. And so I came back to the States and I reached out to my family members and friends. And within 2 weeks' time, we had over 100 pairs of shoes. I didn't share it on social media. Like I said, I reached out to my family members and my friends. And at this time, we were trying to figure out what was going on with the pandemic. We didn't really know what
Yeah.
it was at the time. And so everyone I knew was at home cleaning out closets and cleaning out garages because we had time on our hands. And so I said, I know you guys have shoes. I need those shoes. And literally within less than 2 weeks, we had over 100 pairs of shoes. And so as this pandemic came to be, we had a name now. Um,
Hmm.
I'm not one to sit and hit my thumbs together. I'm a make things happen type of gal.
You're a
So I said,
doer. Mhm.
let me see what we can come up with while we have this idle time. And so I actually put it in writing. Footprints in Africa. I registered with the state during the pandemic and everyone thought I was crazy. How in the world are you going to help folks in Africa when we're in need ourselves? This is something that we're not familiar with, and you're trying to help another continent. And so my answer to that is we have Meals on Wheels, we have Salvation Army, we have United Ministries, we have stimulus checks, there's food stamps, there's AFDC. I mean, all kinds of things. We have resources here in the States. Africa does not. The most help they get is from the United States. And so when we're in need, like we were when the pandemic first hit, all resources stay at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so
I,
yeah,
I
so
love that,
I've
Tammy.
registered the organization, called it Footprints in Africa, because while I was in the continent of Africa, I saw more footprints than I saw shoe prints.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I've always been curious about how the name came to be, and so thank you so much for telling that story. And by the way, you're a great storyteller. I'm not sure if someone's ever told you that, but I was feeling like I was on that journey with you as you were just talking about what led to what was the impetus of finding this organization. And so thank you so much. And I also love the amplification of standard living, right? Because you're so right. We don't necessarily, we take a lot for granted. And I can only imagine that that experience was so powerful and meaningful. And I'm so glad that you did not let what could have been, some of the negativity in your ear to prevent you from moving forward, especially to your point during the time of a pandemic where there was a lot that was going on, right? And so I really do appreciate that. We have placed into the chat a link to the website, Footprints in Africa. I hope you will take a moment to kind of review that. Now, of course, this was happening during the pandemic. And as I was reading your bio, I did go on to just mention at a high level that in spite of the pandemic occurring during this time of launch and establishment of Footprints in Africa, you still were able to realize really significant achievements. So maybe beyond just the collection of shoes that you were able to provide, tell me about some of the other achievements that you can highlight for us that Footprints in Africa is partly responsible for.
We've done so much. And when I think about it, I'm like, it has to be God. It's bigger than
Yeah.
me. It's so much bigger than
Mhm.
me. Because within a short period of time, we're 3.5 years old. And I would say around the year and a half, maybe 2 year mark, we'd already sponsored a young man's higher education in the Gambia. He's now in his third
Mhm.
year. He'll be graduating. So we're running simultaneously with our age because when we met him, he was one semester in and in default of his tuition. And so we got him
Mhm.
caught up and we've been paying ever since. So he is in his third year. I'm so proud. It's like having a second child in school because my son is also in school. And
Mhm.
so we've done that. We have a legacy scholarship, is what it's called, a legacy scholarship for higher
Mhm.
education. We also extend Igniting Dreams grants. The Igniting Dreams grant is one of our core initiatives because the people in those poverty-stricken areas that we actually aid, they don't have room to dream. And we're all dreamers. We all want more.
Right.
We all aspire
Mhm.
to have a better life, and we want to do such things. But because of their situations, their main concern is, what am I going to eat today?
Right.
Do we have enough blankets? Because there's no heat.
Mhm.
Do we have enough
Mhm.
blankets? Do we have tuition money for the kids to come go to school? Because school, daily school, they pay tuition fee to go to elementary school, middle school, high school, whereas we go for free public school.
Right.
And so those are things that we try to tap in to make sure that our programs, projects, and core initiatives are not just impactful, but also sustainable. And so the things we do, such as our programs and projects, are exactly that. So we have our core initiative of Igniting Dreams. We fund grants once a year to an individual that we see has that go-getter mentality, that has that light that just needs an extra push. So we're literally shedding light on dark areas. That's why we call it Igniting Dreams. One young man, he was a sailor in the Gambia, taking tourists from the inland out to Kunta Kinte's island, is how I met him. And
Mhm.
so, although he's a sailor by day in the hot sun, rowing the boat to get us tourists from one end to the next, he would sing the whole time. And so finally, I asked him, what is it that you're singing? You've been singing the whole time. He said, I get joy out of singing, my sister. I really want everyone to hear my music. And so one thing led to another. We ended up having lunch together. Long story short, I ended up funding his um, studio time, three sessions in the studio. I paid for his music video and bought him an outfit. Ask me how much all that cost. $100.
Mhm.
$100. He is now a well-known artist in his community. He gives back to the local schools. He provides for his family. Then we turned around the next year and paid for his artist card. An artist card is like a CDL license for a truck driver. So that's that
Mhm.
extra credential that you need to get to the next level.
Yeah.
So he is just flourishing as a young artist. One year we did a young man in Nigeria. We commissioned him to do our theme song. So Footprints in Africa has a theme song, actually entitled Footprints in Africa, written by a Nigerian artist. He's won all kind of awards and accolades. So anytime we try to sow into as many Africans as possible. Our website was done by an African. So I'm
Mm.
sincere when I say we're literally helping those in any way possible. Our pamphlets were done by a young lady in Egypt. Our
Mm.
member certificates were done by a young lady in Nigeria. I always go back to those that I'm helping because how can I say that I'm trying to make a difference when there's talent in those areas, but I
Right.
overlook them as so money elsewhere. It doesn't.
Mm.
And so,
Absolutely.
so that's two of the programs that we have, and one more would be we sponsored 12 schools in Kenya. I'm very proud of all my projects, but this one here just really tugs at my heart. The project in Kenya, we sponsored 12 schools. The goal was doing that, we would have 1,500 children eat several meals a day. And we did this through our Life Garden program. So we teach them how to actually um, cultivate the land, what they already have.
Yeah.
It's in their
Yeah.
DNA. They've been doing it for generations. So it's nothing new, but we teach them a way for longevity. You plant
Mhm.
more than enough. And that way, the excessive that you guys don't believe in doing because it's a waste, we teach you to go ahead and do it while the land is plentiful, while the crops are producing a great harvest. And then you sell that to the tourist. You
Yeah.
my background is business development. So any kind of way I can take something and make something happen, that's what I do. And so I dare not go to Africa and see all these gifts and talents go to waste. So I teach them, you're entrepreneurs. You have a skill set that can't be duplicated. We're going to we're going to switch the narrative on this. You doing things for free. You let people eat off you. Not on my watch.
Yeah.
On my watch. So yeah, so instead of the 1,500 we were supposed to be feeding out of the 12 schools, we're now feeding well over 5,000 students. And I'm
Wow.
thinking, I'm not a subject matter expert when it comes to mathematics or anything, but I do know those numbers are greatly different than what we anticipated. What happened? They said, well, the word has gotten around that there's an American doing well for the students here. So attendance in school has increased. That's something I
Wow.
didn't consider. It more
Wow.
than tripled. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a comment into the chat that says this is amazing, and amazing is definitely the word. And I'm so in awe of you because, as I said, Tammy and I have been knowing each other for a long time, and I knew about Footprints in Africa, but I was not nearly aware of the extent of its impact. And so I am so proud of you, first and
Thank
foremost.
you.
And I am glad that you are here today to share, because we need more people to be fully aware of Footprints in Africa, and also aware and inspired by the story of just one person's impact, just by caring enough. I heard you say that in order to make a difference, you need to make a difference in the talent that's already here, right? That is something that I think translates across this whole entire broad conversation of equity and inclusion, because oftentimes people that don't have those opportunities, they do have the talent, but they're still overlooked, right?
Yes.
So I think there's a great connection point there. So I am curious, all that you've done, I know you're 501(c)(3), how are you primarily funded? Do you have very specific strategies that allows you to be able to raise the dollars necessary to continue to provide this support? I think it's important for this audience to know that. There could be some folks here who want to be able to align resources to help further the work of Footprints of Africa.
Thank you for that. The need is great. I can't emphasize that enough. And I understand everyone is not in a position to give financially, but there's so many ways you can get involved, so many ways you can get involved. But I'll start by answering Dr. Nika White's question. Um, I'm big on collaboration, partnership.
Mm.
It makes no sense to try to recreate the wheel. And so I'm intentional with my partnerships. I'm intentional with alignment. Those that believe in the mission and vision, those that are actually doing the work and not trying to ride the wave. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so
Yep.
you get that a lot. And my inbox stays full. I get a lot of messages, instant messages, phone calls. And so my question is always, what are you currently doing in Africa? Have you been to the motherland? And it's
Mhm.
not a prerequisite for us to collaborate. But if I
Yeah.
don't see a genuine concern for the people there, a genuine where you've actually got something in place or have something in mind, where you're not just trying to come to the table, but you're actually bringing something to the table, that's what I'm looking for. So those collaborative partnerships actually propel us to the next level. And so
Hmm.
what I do is when I look for projects, first of all, the need, number one. Number two, is it something that we can really make an impact? We can make a difference. And is it sustainable? Because I don't want to go to an area and give out water bottles. And then when we leave, they're still thirsty. That makes
Yeah.
no sense. That makes
Yeah.
absolutely no sense. And so one of the projects that we have was actually a core initiative that actually has been the saving grace for this organization, because of course we get grants, we
Mhm.
get donations, but that's not consistent. That's
Right.
like praying something comes in all honesty. It's not, we want to be where the funds are, where we can really rely on them. We're not there yet. So what we do in order to sustain ourselves is you put programs and projects in place that actually turn a revenue. One of our core initiatives is preserving the skilled craftsmanship of Africa. And so we do that by making available authentic African items in our online store. We buy directly from the locals, skilled craftsmen, those artisans that have skill sets that you cannot duplicate. So instead of us going to Africa and giving handouts, because Africans are very proud people, contrary to what most may believe. They think that everyone's sitting there with their hands out. That's not the case.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so instead of us making them feel less than, making them feel unworthy, we highlight their gifts and talents, and we pay them a fair wage for their products. And so
Mm.
they're proud to do business with us. I mean, they
Mhm.
reach out to me on a regular basis. I have a new product, Miss Tammy, or sister, as most will say. And so we buy directly from them. We pay them a fair wage. We don't haggle and try to give them very little because of their situation. You know,
Yeah,
my point is to help, not put them in a situation where they feel they have to do business with me in order to get money. You know, I want them
right,
to know that you are a business owner. You know, I emphasize that all the time. And I'm paying you for a product that I couldn't get elsewhere. I'm happy to do business with you. So, of course, we bring it back here to the States. We turn it for a profit because it is a business.
right,
Let's be very clear on that. So I can't sell it for little or nothing because, you know, what I paid for in Africa, bring it back here and sell it to you for that. That doesn't make good business sense.
right.
We sell it for a profit. We take those funds and sow them back into our programs and projects. So on our website, which is Alki Boulon, Footprints in Africa's Cultural Emporium, Alki Boulon is the original word for Africa, in case you guys are wondering. So Alki Boulon is our online store. And so there we have over 2,000 pieces. We have brand items, and I would say probably 3% of the website are brand items like t-shirts and hats and things of that such. The other 97% are authentic African items, like my earrings, which are from Kenya. They are
Mm.
solid African brass and bone. My ring, solid African brass and bone.
Beautiful.
My dress is from Senegal. It is not tie dye. It is batik, Batik. So if you want to Google that, that's a skill set again that goes back
Yes.
generations that cannot be duplicated. And so we have some beautiful things on our website. So when you hear me say that shopping with us truly makes a difference, it truly makes a difference. Number one, we're buying directly from the people in Africa. So everything is authentic. We don't do African inspired. Number two, we take those funds and so back into our programs and projects, such as our legacy scholarship, which we're paying for a young man to go to school in the Gambia, such as our 12 schools in Kenya with our life gardens. Our another core initiative is the Igniting Dreams grant. So the money cycles,
Yes.
cycles. So you're truly
Yes.
making a difference when you shop with Footprints in Africa.
This is truly amazing. You have thought about everything, Tammy, and I love the sustainability of it. I love that there is a very strategic plan and approach that is effective in being able to have money cycling back to be able to put towards the programming and the efforts. I think that is tremendous. So tell me about your team. I mean, obviously this is your baby, as you have named it. And so you've been the visionary and in many ways you've been the executor of a lot of the collaborations in terms of really building those strategic alliances. But as I listen to you talk about all of the impact, I would imagine that there's like maybe an army of people that are connected to to
No,
you. And so
no,
just
ma'am.
just help us to really understand from a capacity perspective, I mean, outside of course, the collaborations, which I'm sure that is really big, those partnerships, but is it really just you from a day-to-day
It's
perspective?
me.
It's kind of, wow,
I am the
that's
person.
impressive.
I
That's
am the person.
impressive.
And I'll be honest, when I first started out, I was thinking, you know, you need to get all these people because I'm a visionary. So I see way
Yeah,
down the road before we actually get there. So I know what I want it to look like. I know what I'm working towards, I guess I would say.
yeah,
And so when you're not there, you're churning at it. You know, you're trying to make it happen. And so how would I say this without coming across crass? People want to come on board, you know,
yeah.
if you don't see the vision, and I'm
Oh,
trying
absolutely.
to, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna spend my time and energy trying to get your buy-in, trying to
mm,
sell you on what I see. You know, sharing is one thing, but convincing you when you just don't see the relevance, when
yeah,
you feel like it's a mute cause that we could be doing else other things, or when you're trying to water it down, that we won't do. That we won't
yeah,
do.
yeah,
Non-negotiable for me.
yeah. You won't dilute the impact.
No, not at
Um,
all. And then we've had
yeah,
some beautiful people come aboard and volunteer their time. But as always, I try to circle back to those that I'm actually helping because they get it. They're just as
Sure.
passionate as I am because, as they say, you're helping us, you know?
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
convey to them often, I am you,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Um, um,
Absolutely.
so,
Now,
yeah,
you shared with us that this was inspired by your trip to Ethiopia, and then you further mentioned that sometimes you ask people, "Have you ever been to the country?" Right, and not that that's a prerequisite, as you did share, for being able to be aligned with Footprints in Africa, but obviously experiencing it firsthand, I'm sure makes a big difference because that is again where you found the inspiration to, I want to do more, I want to do more, I want to be deeply connected to this community, the people in this area. And let's really just unpack the fact that being able to afford the time and the resources to travel to all those different continents is not something that's commonplace for everyone, especially a lot of Black individuals. And so I'm always curious and love to engage in conversations about that because I would imagine that there are a lot of people who would want to visit the country, will want to understand more and have that direct experience, but it's just not within their wheelhouse to be able to do that. It is a place of privilege. And so I'm just curious as to what are some ways that if people aren't as well traveled, but they do want to have that direct experience, that they can get a bit more intimate and closer to what's happening.
thank you. Because I don't want folks to think that everyone has to be in one bucket in order to journey with me, which is one
Yeah.
of our taglines.
Yeah.
That's not the case at all. There's so many different ways you can get involved. One being you can partner with us. Um, of course, you can start a work campaign. You can make a donation, no matter what that dollar amount is.
Mhm.
No amount is too small. You just heard me say I gave a young man $100 that paid for 3 studio sessions, a music
Yeah.
video, and an outfit. Funds go a long way in those rural areas of Africa. So I don't want you to think that you have to, you know, write an enormous check. That's not the case at all. So you can make a donation, you can start a work campaign, you can volunteer your time. If you have a skill set or something that you feel that would benefit us, even highlighting
Mhm.
us in such a way that Dr. Nika White has chosen to do today, sharing our content on social media, which is also one of our core initiatives, is to educate those that follow us here in the United States on the history, tradition, and culture of Africa. So we don't
Yes.
want to just be asking as a nonprofit for you guys to give, 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 give. We want to actually give something back to you in return. So although I am not what I would consider a history buff or the expert in all things Africa, as I learn, I'm intentional about learning about the different things in Africa. So as I learn, I am committed to sharing that information with you all. So every day on social media, we're posting. On
Yeah.
Sundays, we do dispelling myths and unveiling truths. It's always something about Africa. On Mondays, it's an African proverb because African proverbs, go back for a very, very long
Mm.
time, for decades. It's been the undergird of our people,
Mhm.
inspiring, motivating, encouraging them. So African proverbs are very um, substantial at Footprints in Africa. We absolutely love them. So again, on Sundays, we dispel myths and unveil truths. On Mondays, it's African Proverbs. On Tuesdays, it's Truth Bearer Tuesday, always something about Africa. And so we have a little bronze lady with the water pouring out. She's bearing the truth. On
Mhm.
Wednesday, it's Wow Wednesday. We show something in the news taking place in Africa. So it's
Mhm.
international news, Wow Wednesday. On Thursday, it's Thought Provoking Thursday. Again, something about Africa that makes you think, something that you had no clue about. On Friday, we give you another African proverb because, again, it's very important to us. We
Yes.
get 2 a week. On Saturdays, it's Sell Something Saturday. We're highlighting something from our online store. And then we start it all over again. So
I love it.
every day, you can tune into our social platforms and you're going to leave with some type of nugget, something that
Yeah.
you had no clue about simply by logging in, checking our page, and of course, we like for you to engage, leave a comment, share, like. But that's our way of giving back to you all. It's one of our core initiatives.
Yeah, the education piece is precisely where I was hoping you would take your response to that question. Because again, I think there's a lot of people who desire to maybe be able to travel and experience these areas, firsthand. But if you can't, that's still not an excuse to have a connection and to be much more knowledgeable. And so I love the fact that you have so many different ways that people can educate themselves and deepen their knowledge and understanding of what's happening in Africa. So we're going to be shifting, Tammy, momentarily. I want to give the audience an opportunity to ask any questions or share any comments that you may have for our guest co-host today, Tammy. But you can do that actually a couple different ways. One of which is you can go to the chat and place it into the chat. We're watching that. And if you're linked in live, go to the comment section. We'll bring those questions over here. Or if you are part of the Zoom community and you wish to be added to the spotlight, use the raise hand feature that lets us know that you're willing to be called upon and invited to unmute yourself and share. While you're percolating on maybe some of your questions or comments, and as your curiosities are starting to surface, I'm going to go to the next question just to give you a moment on that. But I want to talk, Tammy, about your involvement with the Entrepreneurship Village in Nigeria, because again, you have expressed to us that part of the programming and the offerings is to make sure that you are encouraging the people in Africa to recognize their skill sets and to grow their business acumen. As a way of sustaining themselves. And so tell us a little bit more about how you came to connect with the Entrepreneurship Village in Nigeria. I know that you're an executive advisory board member, but what insights can you share about fostering entrepreneurship and innovation?
First of all, E-Village is what it's affectionately known as, the Entrepreneur
Village.
Village in Nigeria. E-Village, I was not aware of this organization, had no clue. I'm just chucking along, doing the work and trying to collaborate with those that actually see the vision. And so someone reached out to me on LinkedIn. Let me plug that again. Someone reached out to me on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, you're really sleeping on the value there. I've been a part
There
of
you
LinkedIn
go.
for a great while, and I've met some beautiful people there, have been able to make some things happen that I probably wouldn't able to do otherwise, even before Footprints in Africa. So I really enjoy that platform. But yeah, someone reached out to me on LinkedIn about this vision they had, and I was like, okay, I just kind of send me the information, I'll look at it later. And when I finally took a look at the package, I was like, oh, wow, I have to be a part of this. They think they need me. I need to be a part of this. The Entrepreneurship Village is the first of its kind in the world. So what this is, the compound that we're developing right now, acres and acres of land, so they call it a compound. This compound consists of what will be 12 to 15 different villages, or not villages, it's going to be a compound village, but upright buildings. And so I guess the best way to relate it to what we're accustomed to, a college university. You go to visit a college, there's a lot of buildings on it. There's a lot of different resources. This is what this compound is going to be, but strictly for entrepreneurship. And so although the compound isn't open for business, we're already at 97%, 96, 97%, 96 and 97% enrollment.
Wow.
Yes, enrollment. People are coming from everywhere from Africa. It's 54 African countries. So we have students throughout Africa already registered. And then we already have individuals asking us to do a satellite in Europe and other countries as well. But the Entrepreneurship Village will actually nurture, encourage, lend resources to those individuals that think outside the box. Those individuals that are called crazy, that you can't make a living off that. Why do you think that's doable? You need to play it safe. This is what's going to bring you the money. You need to go to school for this. We actually are putting together a safe place that's going to nurture those types of thinking. So it's an entrepreneurship college for musicians, for producers, for directors, whether it be TV, movie, anything you can think of. This is the place for you to come and make things happen. So if you took that idea elsewhere and people thought you were crazy, we want you over here.
Yeah. No, that's
I am so looking
great.
forward to it.
I can tell your passion and your excitement for it. And, we know that being in isolation as an entrepreneur is not good. We need to be in community with others, to make sure that we are staying motivated and encouraged, and we're exchanging kind of, stories and best practices to really be able to support our brothers and sisters. And so I love that through this compound, this community is going to allow the a great level of more intentional interaction across all those who are kind of entrepreneurial minded. So
And
keep us posted.
I'm sorry, and might I add that we have our first ribbon cutting ceremony this year, November. We're having an entrepreneurship festival because it's Entrepreneurship Week in November in Africa. It's a global
Okay.
thing. So we decided to, instead of us, trying to do something another time, let's go ahead and get in on this activity during this week.
Right.
We're doing our ribbon cutting ceremony this year in Nigeria. The first building will be erected. So we'll actually be able to walk in and see it and feel it and touch it. And there'll be a bust of your girl from head to shoulder in the foyer. So I'm really excited about that. And so hopefully I'll be able to do some live featuring so those back at home can see it.
Yes.
And as soon as I have the content, the link to share with you guys, which will be soon, I'll invite the general public to come and join us for the ribbon cutting ceremony. So if someone wants to travel to Nigeria, you can see firsthand e-village. You can actually put your feet, the soles of your feet on the ground. Yeah. So I'm excited about it.
You should be. What a great accomplishment. So I'm not seeing any hands raised so far. But I do have another question. So, well, maybe we're continuing to think about some curiosities that are coming up for us. I want to give you a chance to talk about an event that you're hosting that's coming up, and it's called the Marketplace. And my understanding, this is for local businesses, and it's a fundraiser effort for the education aspect of what you're doing. So, can you give us more information? Tell us what you're hoping to achieve, and is there a way for those of us that are interested and getting involved and participating?
Yes, the marketplace presented by Footprints in Africa will take place on Saturday, March 30th at the Hyatt Regency downtown Greenville. It's
Okay.
going to be from 10 to 6 p.m. It's an indoor event, so if it's cold, raining, whatever the case may be, we're good. The marketplace is exactly what it sounds like. It
Mhm.
will be a hub of different business owners, local entrepreneurs, movers and shakers, whether you have a tangible item for sale or whether you have a service item, you offering a service, we invite you to come and join us. We have vendor tables available. We provide the table, two chairs, the tablecloth. You pay the flat fee of $125, which is a great investment for your business. It's going to put you in front of an audience that you wouldn't normally see. It's going to be a diverse audience, which is a plus. And what many probably don't know is March is International Month. And so during
Mhm.
that month, we're taking advantage of it being International Month. So we're going to highlight the culture of Africa. We're going to share some tidbits with you throughout the evening that you probably didn't know about. We're going to make it fun. We're going to give away door prizes. All you need to do is register for the event, and you'll have a great chance of winning a door prize. Any and everyone is welcome. It's all inclusive. It's a family friendly event, so you can bring, your parents, your children, the little ones. It's wheelchair accessible. So don't allow any of those things you may be thinking, is this for me? She's talking about Africa. It's for everyone. It's an opportunity for us all to learn. Um, I always encourage folks not to be not to automatically think because we deal with Africa that it's for Black people, or it's for African
Sure.
Americans. It's for
Yeah.
anyone who wants to learn. It's for anyone who's interested in the different types of culture and history and traditions. Because as a group of people, we live on this earth together. Very
Absolutely.
important. So we don't want anyone to feel away or feel that it's for a particular group. That's not the case.
Right.
That's not the case at all. So come
Absolutely.
and join us. The funds for the vendor table, of course, it's a fundraiser, so we'll take those funds and so back into our mission and vision. And it also gives you, the business owner, the opportunity to be to put your products in front of other folks. And so it's just
Yes.
a win-win for everyone involved. Truly a win-win for everyone involved.
I love this. And so if you're not local to Greenville, then maybe there's some other ways in which you can support, as we've shared throughout this hour, Footprints in Africa. But I am marking my calendar because this sounds amazing. And I'm so glad that we are communicating today, because this was not on my radar, the event at the end of March. And it is kind of the international month. And so I know that Greenville and so many other areas will have lots of different ways in which they're recognizing that. So really great. And then the link is actually into the chat. And so we hope that you will take advantage of clicking that link and learning a bit more. We have about 10 minutes left, and I also want to address, purpose-driven work, because obviously you are directly in the center of purpose-driven work. And so what advice would you give to others who are looking to make a shift, or maybe just add on to what they're already doing, to ensure that they are leaning into purpose-driven work? What should they be thinking about and doing to find their way into that space of purpose-driven work?
If it's tugging at you, take the necessary steps to make it happen. And don't wait for the buy-in of other people. Don't wait for others to support you. You'll find your village along the way. Trust and believe. But you've got to show up yourself and actually start doing the work. And then you can't do it for awards or accolades because you want to be front and center, because that'll die out real soon. You got to really be passionate about it, and you got to go at it whether others support you or not, because it has to be bigger than you in order for it to be sustainable. Number one, it has to be bigger than you. So if you're doing it for selfish reasons, it's not going to last long. And I'll use myself as an example. We started this, I say we because I can't do it by myself, whether it's just good vibes coming my way, whether it's a prayer, whether it's you leaving me a comment, inboxing me, all that helps. All that helps. Good energy helps. So I say that to say, I started this international organization during the pandemic, when most thought I was absolutely crazy. And here we are, 3.5 years later, feeding over 5,000 children several meals a day, paying for a young man's education in the Gambia, have this online store with over 2,000 products, where out of 54 African countries, we bought from 37 of them. The goal is to buy from every African country. We bought from 37 out of 54. Mind you, I'm stateside. We're headquartered here in South Carolina, but our work is in Africa. So had I listened to the naysayers, you're doing this during a pandemic, we would be feeding over 5,000 children several meals a day. A young man would be receiving an education right now. We wouldn't be igniting dreams, And I don't know how I forgot this, but just 6 months ago, we rolled out micro business loans. Within 6 months, we gave away 12 business loans. And I was told, they're not going to pay you back. Why would you give them a loan? You're not even there to make sure you get your money back. Well, that's where your partnerships come in at. And so out of the 12 micro loans we've given thus far, one has defaulted, but they're paying back, slow. 2 have paid it off. And so we have 9 that are paying on time. Mind you, I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, with 12 micro loans in Africa, people that I have not met one-on-one, but I stay in contact with them. I make sure there's boots on the ground that keeps them accountable. So we're not just giving away money. There's tool sets in place. There's accountability in place. My background of business development has truly been a godsend, because during my 20 plus years in corporate America, it has prepared me for a time such as this.
Such as this. I love that. I think sometimes we take for granted how a small gesture of just a little bit of money can really set someone up to change the trajectory of their future, and even like the future of those that are connected to that person. And so let's never demise ways in which we show up in small ways, because it really can be significant in the lives of those who are on the receiving end. And that's what you have amplified today through all of the stories. I do want to emphasize that the shoe drive you talked about earlier is called Souls for Africa. That's the annual community shoe drive that's going to kick off at the vendor social event that we've placed into the chat. So I did want to also mention that. Is there more that you want to say about the Souls for Africa initiative?
Yes, Souls for Africa is a great way to get involved. So if you don't have a financial means to give monetarily, there's so many other ways to get involved, and one being Souls for Africa. It's our annual community shoe drive. We have 12 community partners throughout the upstate of South Carolina. And so we make it very convenient for you to donate your gently used, light new shoes. There's a tub at each location, along with some literature. You take your gently used shoes that are clean and you leave those in the bin at that particular location. So again, there's 12 locations throughout the upstate. You take it to the location that's most convenient for you. Um, and that's basically it. And it's just so much bigger than giving shoes. Let me just put a pin there. When you donate your gently used shoes, we in turn give those shoes to those living in remote areas, those that usually walk barefooted or have shoes that are dilapidated, that have feet protruding out. So if they step
Mhm.
on something, they're at risk of being, contaminated,
Right.
what do you call it? Parasitic diseases. And
Mhm.
so toes and feet are amputated because of that. And so parents have to make a tough decision. Do I let my child walk to school knowing that they don't have shoes or they don't have proper shoes? And most parents say no. So it's a domino effect. So not only do they not have shoes, they're not educated. That's a
Mm,
problem. So they're not
that's
getting
the
that
problem.
education. So when you donate your shoes, you're not only doing the helping with the health part of it, covering someone's feet, because shoes, they serve a real purpose. They protect your feet. So in addition to that, you're also making it possible for that child to get an education. And so we take all types
Absolutely.
of shoes for children, teenagers, men, women, any type of shoes, as long as they're gently used, like new, and they're clean. And this runs for 3 consecutive months. From April through June, you have the option of dropping those shoes off at any location. And if you want to be a community partner, send me a message. My information is in the chat, I'm sure. Send me a message. We'll talk about it and we'll go from there. Not only will this help us, but it also puts eyes on your business.
And there are a number of people that are a part of our community that will either they're either here today live or will see it later through the replay or catch the podcast. And so if they're not local to the Greenville, South Carolina area, but I would imagine that they also may have some gently used shoes that they're willing to donate. Can they ship them to a particular address? Can you
Thank you
share a
for
little bit
mentioning
about
that.
that?
Yeah, thank you for
Sure.
mentioning that. Last year we got shoes from New York, Detroit, Virginia, I think Tennessee. We got boxes and boxes of shoes. People literally send boxes and boxes of shoes from their
Wow.
state. As we speak, I'm working with 2 schools, one in Washington, D.C., spoke with the principal yesterday. They want to get involved. Got a phone call from Alaska last month. They have 4,000 pairs of shoes they want to get to me. So we're working out the logistics with that. A shoe store in Alaska, 4,000 what they consider previous year shoes that are brand new, but they're previous year. We'll take them.
We'll
So
take them.
yes, yes, if you're willing to get the shoes to us, we'll take them. But let me be very transparent. You would need to put the cost of shipping the shoes to us because
Mhm.
get people all the time saying, "I want to send, I want to send, I want to send." Keep in mind, we're a nonprofit. Our work
Yes.
is to actually aid others, so we don't have the resources to pay for you to give us something, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But
No, it
we're
makes
more than
perfect
happy to
sense.
take those shoes. By all means, send them to us.
This is amazing. Tammy, I've always thought you were amazing, but you are such an inspiration. And
Thank you.
I am feeling this deep connection to wanting to support you and Footprints in Africa. So I'll be reaching out, finding some ways in which we can do that. But thank you. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your heart for people. I want to give you the last final 60 seconds or so to close this out in whatever way that feels appropriate for you. If there's anything I haven't asked you about that you have some energy that you want to socialize, I want you to do that at this time. And before I turn it over to you, I want to thank this community for showing up week after week. If this has been valuable to you, then share this vodcast with others so that they also can be aware of all the information that's been communicated today. Tammy, close this out.
Again, thank you guys for being here. I just want to say that I don't want you to think that whatever you have in mind, if something is tugging at your heart based on this conversation here, you have a question about something, don't hesitate to reach out to me. No deed is too small. No deed is too small. And I'm always grateful for those that see the vision, believe in the vision, and want to connect to the vision. And so I'm open to conversating with you. If you have something in mind, something that you feel will propel us to the next level, something that will help our mission and vision get out to the masses, I'm definitely open to having a conversation with you. You can send me a message, you can give me a call. Let's talk about it. Let's see how we can make things happen in such a great way that actually helps our people. Thank you.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tammy. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. We hope to see you back here next week for another show of Intentional Conversations podcast. Have a great and safe weekend. And once again, happy Black History Month.
Yes.
Take
Thank
care.
you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.